By the end of today's video, you will know 7 signs of an emotionally healthy person. The key is being able to recognize these signs in yourself or maybe in others, and then it can give you a bit of a blueprint as something to work towards. As a therapist, I often look for these signs to identify if someone is growing and becoming emotionally healthier. So let's dive into the 7 signs. The first sign of emotional health is that they can take a joke. Emotionally healthy people can laugh at themselves without it crushing their ego or sending them into a defensive mode. Let me give you a hypothetical example. Imagine you're at a family dinner and your brother makes a playful comment about that embarrassing story from your college days. You know, the one where you confidently walked into the wrong classroom and sat through 15 minutes of an advanced physics lecture before realizing that you were supposed to be an intro to psychology. Everyone laughs, including you, because it was honestly pretty ridiculous. An emotionally healthy person can join in on that laughter. They don't need to deflect it with, well, remember when you did something stupid? They also don't get quiet and withdrawn. And they don't turn the conversation into something serious about respect. They just laugh along because their sense of self isn't so fragile that a little playful teasing threatens it. Now, let me be clear about something. This doesn't mean tolerating genuine disrespect. If someone is consistently putting you down, making passive-aggressive comments disguised as jokes, or using humor to put you down, that is completely different. Emotionally healthy people can distinguish between playful banter and subtle cruelty. They laugh at the former and address the latter. But when it's genuinely lighthearted, they can roll with it. They might even add to the joke themselves. Oh yeah, and I remember I stayed for the whole lecture because I was too embarrassed to leave. This ability shows a deep comfort with imperfection. It shows that they don't need to maintain this perfect image of themselves at all times. The second sign of an emotionally healthy person is that they can genuinely celebrate when other people succeed. And I mean truly celebrate, not just put on a fake smile while internally going into comparison mode. Picture the scenario. Your coworker gets the promotion that you both applied for. Your best friend buys their first house while you're still renting. These moments can be tough for anyone, but emotionally healthy people have learned not to measure their worth against someone else's achievements. Instead of thinking, why them and not me? Or I guess I'm just not good enough, they can feel authentic happiness for the other person. They might say something like, that's amazing, you work so hard for this and I'm really happy for you. And they actually mean it. Your friend buying a house doesn't mean you won't. Your coworker getting promoted doesn't mean you're not talented. Now, this doesn't mean you never feel a twinge of envy. We are all human. But emotionally healthy people don't let that feeling consume them or define the interaction. They can hold space for both. I'm genuinely happy for you, and I wish this was happening for me too. The third sign of an emotionally healthy person is one of my favorites. Emotionally healthy people are kind when nobody's watching. They don't need an audience to do the right thing. Let me give you a really specific example. Let's say that you're walking through a parking lot and you see someone's shopping cart rolling toward a car. Nobody's around. There's no one to witness whether you chase it down or just keep walking. An emotionally healthy person catches that cart. And not because they want credit and not because they're thinking about their self-image, but because it aligns with who they are and who they want to be. Imagine you find a wallet with some cash in it. You could easily pocket the money and genuinely no one would ever know. But you could also return it, cash included, because doing so feels right. And you're also not posting about it on social media, or you're also not calling your friends to tell them how good of a person you are. You just do it and move on. This behavior stems from something deeper, internal validation rather than external validation. Emotionally healthy people have developed their own internal compass of what matters to them. They have identified their values, and they live by them regardless of whether anyone notices. The satisfaction comes from knowing that they acted in alignment with who they want to be, not from the place of applause or recognition, because this is a world where everything is documented, filmed, and shared. So this kind of quiet integrity is increasingly rare, but in my opinion is one of the clearest markers of genuine emotional health. The fourth sign of an emotionally healthy person is that they can set boundaries and actually stick to them. This one's huge, and it's something that so many people struggle with. Boundaries are basically the limits we set to protect our energy and our time and our emotional well being. But here's the problem: setting boundaries often feels uncomfortable. It can bring up guilt, anxiety, or fear, or disappointing people. So many of us abandon our own needs to avoid that discomfort, especially when dealing with difficult people. Let me give you an example. Your mother calls you every single evening at dinner time, talking for an hour about things that could wait. You've realized this daily call is draining you, and you need some evenings to yourself. An emotionally healthy person can say, "Mom, I love talking with you, but I need to change our routine. Can we do our calls twice a week instead of every night? Maybe Tuesdays and Sundays?" Notice what they're not doing. They're not making excuses. They're not over explaining. They're not apologizing profusely. They're stating their need clearly and calmly. And when mom pushes back with, "But I look forward to these calls," or "Are you saying you don't want to talk to me?" they don't crumble. They restate the boundary. "I do want to talk to you, and based on my current life circumstances, I can only talk to you twice a week." That way, our conversations can be quality time and I'm actually present for them. Or consider a workplace example. Your boss regularly texts you outside of work hours. An emotionally healthy person can say, "I'm not available for work communication after 7 p.m. unless it's a genuine emergency. I'll respond to tonight's message first thing tomorrow morning." Then they actually stick to it. They don't respond until the morning. Even though that they feel this pull to check their phone, the key is that emotionally healthy people can tolerate the uncomfortable feelings that come with boundary setting. They can sit with the guilt, with the worry that they might have upset someone, or maybe with the fear of something being difficult. They have learned that their peace of mind is worth more than constant people pleasing. The fifth sign is the ability to take real accountability. Emotionally healthy people can apologize sincerely and then change their behavior. This sounds simple, but it's remarkably difficult. Let's break down what a real apology looks like. Say you snapped at your partner because you had a long, stressful day at work, and they were just asking about dinner plans, but you responded with irritation. "I don't know, why does everything have to be decided right now?" Later, when you've cooled down, an emotionally healthy person approaches this directly. "Hey, I want to apologize for how I spoke to you earlier. You were just asking a normal question about dinner, and I took my work stress out on you. That wasn't fair to you, and I'm sorry because that must have made you feel really bad. What I did was wrong, and I need to find better ways to manage my emotions." Notice the components here. They name the specific behavior, they acknowledge the impact on the other person, and they take full ownership without hedging. They're not saying, "I'm sorry you felt hurt," or "I'm sorry, but I was just so stressed." They're saying, "I'm sorry that I hurt you." But here is the crucial part. The apology doesn't end there. In the following days and weeks, they actually work on managing their stress differently. Maybe they start taking a few minutes to decompress after work before engaging in household discussions. Maybe they communicate proactively. "I had a really rough day, so I'm going to need 20 minutes to reset before we talk about anything." The behavior changes because the apology was genuine. Compare this to people who aren't emotionally healthy. They might give a rushed, defensive apology. "Fine, I'm sorry. Okay, let's move on." Or they avoid apologizing entirely and just expect everyone to move on. Or worst of all, they flip it around on you. "Well, I wouldn't have snapped if you didn't always pressure me about decisions the moment I walk in the door." That is not accountability. That's deflection. Being able to say, "I was wrong, and here's how I'm going to do better," without collapsing into shame or becoming defensive is a massive indicator of emotional health. The sixth sign of an emotionally healthy person is they can sit with uncomfortable emotions without immediately trying to escape them. They understand that feelings have a beginning, a middle, and an end, even the unpleasant ones. Think about anxiety as an example. Let's say you need to have a difficult conversation with a friend who's been flaking on plans. An emotionally unhealthy response might be to avoid the conversation entirely, or numb the anxiety with distractions like scrolling on social media for hours, or maybe even lash out in frustration instead of addressing the issue directly. An emotionally healthy person feels the anxiety. Their stomach might be in knots. Their mind might be racing with all the ways the conversation could go wrong. But they don't treat these feelings as emergencies that need to be eliminated immediately. They recognize, okay, I'm anxious about this conversation. That's uncomfortable, but it's not dangerous. I can feel anxious and still have this conversation. And then they go ahead and have the difficult conversation. Or consider heartbreak. When a relationship ends, emotionally healthy people allow themselves to grieve. They might have days where they cry, where they feel the hollow ache in their chest, where everything reminds them of what they've lost. But they don't immediately download dating apps to distract themselves. They don't jump into a rebound relationship. They don't pretend that they're totally fine when they're not. They sit with the sadness, knowing that feeling is part of moving through it. This ability to tolerate discomfort is essential for growth. Every meaningful thing that we do in life comes with some level of emotional risk or discomfort. Starting a business means tolerating the fear of failure. Making new friends means accepting the vulnerability of reaching out first. Pursuing your dreams means sitting with the uncertainty of whether you'll succeed or not. Emotionally healthy people have learned that trying to escape every uncomfortable feeling actually keeps you stuck. They have discovered that on the other side of discomfort is often growth, connection, and the life that they actually want to live. The seventh and final sign is that emotionally healthy people enter conversations seeking to understand, not to win. They don't treat every discussion like a debate where there has to be a victor. Imagine you're talking with a friend about a political or social issue where you have different viewpoints. The conversation starts to get really heated. An emotionally unhealthy person might interrupt constantly, raise their voice, bring up unrelated points just to prove that they're right. Or maybe they completely dismiss the other person's perspective entirely. They're thinking, I need to win this argument. I need them to admit it right now. An emotionally healthy person approaches this very differently. They listen. They actually listen, not just wait for their turn to talk. They might ask questions. Can you help me understand why you see it that way? Or what experiences have shaped your perspective on this? They're genuinely curious about the other person's viewpoint, even if they still disagree with it. And here's what's remarkable. If new information comes up that challenges their position, they can adjust. They might say, you know what? I haven't considered that angle before. That's a fair point. They don't necessarily see changing their mind on something as weakness or defeat. They actually see it as growth. This shows up in everyday situations too. Maybe your partner suggests a different approach to handling your finances, and your initial reaction is defensiveness. But instead of digging in and insisting that your way is better, you pause. You ask them to explain their reasoning. You consider whether their method might actually work better for your situation. So you're open to the possibility that you don't have all the answers. This flexibility and humility in conversations allows emotionally healthy people to build stronger relationships because people feel heard and respected around them. Discussions become opportunities for connections rather than battlegrounds. And ironically, by not needing to win every conversation, they often end up with deeper, more authentic connections, which feels like winning in a completely different way. So those are 7 signs of an emotionally healthy person. They can laugh at themselves without falling apart. They can celebrate other people without falling into comparison. They're kind when nobody's watching. They set boundaries and stick to them. They take genuine accountability. They tolerate discomfort without constantly seeking escape. And they listen to understand rather than to win.